So, I mean, well, first of all, just tell me, introduce yourselves. I mean,
Okay, well, I'm Thomas Parrish V, the director,
Yeah.
and he's the co-director.
Okay.
I'm Zachary Parrish, and I'm the actor and co-director.
How old is everybody here?
16.
And I'm 13, but I'll be turning 14 in August.
Dang,
23rd.
right you will be.
I turned
He turned 17 in May, right?
Yes.
So we heard that earlier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess you guys are sitting around with COVID.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, actually,
Tell me the story. I
if
mean,
you really want to, if we really go in depth, I actually started in 2019.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, I was thinking about another film, and I was just writing stuff up, and then I brought it to my dad. It was a post-pandemic, really an apocalyptic type film,
Sure.
and we talked about different ideas. I said, okay, let's post-viral, post-pandemic type of film. We just went with it, and then COVID came,
Right.
and it just fueled us even more.
The timing just was so
It was
perfect.
perfect.
Well,
It
how'd you come up with the idea? This whole pandemic thing in 2019. That's 2 years ago, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pandemic thing, we were just thinking, we want to do something different. Everybody does zombies and stuff
Sure.
like that, so we just figured, a virus, pandemic type thing, that would suit us. That would
Right.
be perfect.
Well, so what got you into this whole idea of doing some sort of videography or some sort of movie? I mean,
Really,
yeah.
it started from watching Star Wars, really, because we always liked watching Star Wars. We made a previous Star Wars film called Force Be One.
okay.
So that whole thing started when, I think it was 2018, 2017,
Yeah.
and we were young kids, middle school, elementary
Sure,
school.
sure.
So mom came to us and said, we don't want you guys to sit in the house, playing video games and stuff all day. You guys need to go and start, being creative and do something. So we were thinking about, because we had been in like previous things such as like battle bots and stuff like that. We had kind of trickled off from that for a while.
Uh-huh.
And so the film thing came into mind. He introduced us to the film. He said, why don't you guys try to do a film? So we tried film out. He helped us out a little bit, and that just got us going.
All right, so I'm not much of a Star Wars guy. I know we're backing up here a little bit, but what's your favorite one? I've got two sons, and they love Star Wars. I've seen every one of them. They'll fight hours over which one's
Yeah.
the best.
My personal favorite is probably not Jedi Fallen Order, Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Mine's probably Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's almost old school.
Yeah.
So tell me how your dad influenced you on all this, right? So,
Well, he minored in film, so
okay.
he basically gave us a no choice type of option. You guys got to do something. So we figured film was the next best thing.
Sure.
Why don't we just do it? So
Sure.
instead of just sitting around, we just said, we'll try it out, see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, we just know it's not our thing. And we got a lot of accolades for it, so we just figured, hey, this is us. Let's just keep going.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, so I've got to ask you a question. You're the actor. Your big brother here is the director. What was that like? I mean, you ever get fisticuffs or rolling around the set kind of
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
Kind of, not really kind of sometimes, but we really kind of helped each other, especially on the scripts. We both wrote the scripts.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could get a little tense at times because when things aren't when I'm saying something and he'll come back and say something that I know is not right, then it'll get kind of acting like, dude, you're supposed to know this.
Right.
We've been going over it for a while. We'll get on set and we want it to be a quick shot, and if things just aren't going right, so I mean, it'll get a little tense at times. For the most part, we were working together in a smooth pace.
So you kind of wrote the screenplay 2019. It evolved, and then COVID hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have the dialogue written, or was that one of those things you just kind of basically had an idea of a shot, what you were trying to do? Did it evolve on the set? I mean, just describe that for me a little
So-
bit. I don't,
Yeah.
this is nothing I've ever done. So I'm A, curious, and B, I just think this is one of the coolest things I've ever had the chance to sit down and talk to somebody about.
So we had the basics of the story pretty much finished before we started shooting. The first shot, we were like, let's figure this script out maybe 3 weeks in advance.
Right.
So we figured the first script out, and we got that done. We got that shot done, and then we were like, let's come up with another. We already knew what we wanted. We already knew what the shot was, so we just figured out the dialogue maybe a couple months in, well, not a couple months, a couple weeks in prior to that shot, and that's how we just kept going throughout the entire duration of working on that film.
So where was it filmed?
All
NC.
throughout North
Throughout
Carolina.
NC. We didn't shoot anything in the mountainous regions of NC, excuse me, but from most of the shots were primarily taken actually in Nash County.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
We took a little bit in Wake County,
Edgecombe
County, and
course.
stuff. It was all over, pretty much eastern North Carolina for the most part.
That's pretty daggone cool. So, you've got a premiere. So, how did you get on? It's going to be featured on Amazon, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And so, how did that happen?
So I never knew this, but my dad, he made an account years before we even wanted to get into film. So his foresight about it was
Okay.
it was crazy. So he
Maybe
told,
preordained. You know, I grew up Presbyterian,
Yeah,
so
yeah, so
that's
he-
a term I think we can use.
yeah, we can use that, yeah. So I mean, him knowing that we were going to eventually get into that was shocking to me. So we got into it. He told us he had an account.
Well, so I don't even know what that means. So I have an Amazon account. My guess is my account's not going to get my film.
No, you had to have a distributor account.
Okay,
So
right.
we have a distributor account, which he set up a while ago.
Okay.
And the first short film we put, Force B1, The Awakening, he put that on there. It's no longer up there anymore, but he put that up there just to test it out, so to see if if we made another film,
Right.
we could put it up there.
So how many hits did you get on the Force B1?
Force B1 was just what he
It
said.
was just Star Wars type.
Yeah,
thing.
it
Yeah, I
was-
know, but I mean, how many people downloaded it? Did you get
It wasn't
assist with
really.
that?
It wasn't really for sale. It was like free.
Okay,
Yeah, so
got it.
I don't know specifically how many people downloaded. It was, I think it was close to maybe the thousands, maybe.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, so
it
it's
was.
enough to kind of feed the interest.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't.
what I would call proof of concept.
Yeah, it wasn't for sale or anything. It was for free, but people, it was just getting us out there a little bit. And we went to film festivals and stuff, so we earned two or three awards for the first Force B1.
Okay.
And the second one, we
See,
won-
y'all are holding back on me on this. You didn't tell me anything about that. Tell me about these film festivals. That's pretty cool.
So we went. The first one we entered the Peak City Film Festival. That's in Apex.
Uh-huh.
We entered the Carborough Film Festival.
and went in entered the Charlotte Film Festival.
Yeah, Charlotte Film Festival. We didn't. We unfortunately did not win an award in that one, but we got a lot of accolades. We got a lot of good feedback, and we were one of the most popular films. I'm honestly surprised we did not win an award for that.
Sure.
Yeah, that
And
was.
And one of them in Peak City and Force B1 The Awakening, we won Best Special Effects.
Yeah, that was for the second trailer
Awesome.
that we did. Yeah.
Awesome. So what is the film festival kind of like? And I didn't even know this many North Carolina cities had one.
Yeah.
I mean, does Rocky Mountain need to consider doing it?
I mean, they could if we could, publicize it a lot, get some advertisements out. I mean, it would have some things out there in the mill. Yeah.
Sure.
That would be
sure.
awesome. That could be awesome.
So, I mean, what does it look like? I mean, how many people usually show up for, say, Apexes?
Apex was probably the smaller one
Yeah,
of
probably
all
like
of them,
50,
but the
60.
energy was
Okay.
there. The energy was there. So there was a guy, I think it was Happy Days. I think
Sure.
They had the kid from there. He's all going out.
Oh, yeah. He's, an old guy. He's older than me now.
Yeah, so he was there. He was the first actor there. And then they had another guy from Star Trek, one of the older versions of Star Trek. They had him there for the second time in Peak City. The second one was a lot better. They had more events and things like that going on. So the energy, they had food. There was a 2-night event. So the first night they had food. They were showing a couple films, and it was just pretty much a get to know me type of thing.
Sure. So 50, 60 folks there.
Yeah.
How many films are entered into these festivals?
I don't really quite know. But
Yeah,
it was pretty decent.
What is
amount.
it, ish? I mean,
I would
just
probably say maybe
guess. We don't have to be
Maybe.
exact.
20, 30 maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
And they're all local folks, guys like y'all?
It could be
or-
from anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, you could enter. You could literally enter. You could be probably in LA and enter it.
Sure.
You know, so I mean, as long you don't necessarily have to be there in order to accept the award, but you can send in a video and say thank you for giving me, allowing me to get this reward and everything like that. You know.
Right. So they bring in some star from some previous whatever. And,
Yeah.
Yes.
and kind of create a little hype, and you get a chance to see the movie and
Yeah.
whatnot. That's something we probably ought to consider trying to do here in Rocky
Yeah, I
Mountain.
think
just
it would
feels-
bring some more attention to the city.
Well, it
Yeah.
just feels kind of fun and kind of cool, and since we have you guys here now, I mean, obviously you
Yeah, we
be
can help out a little bit too.
dang on right.
Yeah.
Maybe even tell us how to go about the process
Yeah.
of doing it.
Absolutely.
So, any hint about what this film's about? I know you don't want to give it away. The premiere
Hey,
is
I won't-
coming up
Well,
real
this is-
soon.
Yeah,
it's
real next
really-
week actually.
It's
Yeah.
two boys trying to survive throughout a kind of an apocalypse.
Uh-huh.
So
And the virus kills 90% of the population.
I got you. Okay.
one big hint. I don't
Okay.
know. Not everybody's maybe into sci-fi, but it is sci-fi.
Okay.
It's not for the majority of the film. It's not sci-fi, but there is key points in it that you're like, oh wow, this is a little bit of a sci-fi movie. It's primarily a drama though.
Okay.
You know, so it's just a little sci-fi twist that you guys may or may not. You
Okay,
just gotta
well,
pay
just
attention to.
just wait for
Yeah.
it, right? You don't want
Yeah,
to
just
give it
gotta
away,
wait
and I
for
don't
it,
want you to. So that's pretty cool. So who all was in it? I mean, obviously you two. Any other actors in it?
Family and some friends.
Yeah, we had
Right.
the guy that has the second biggest part. He's one of my past neighbors. We grew up together. He's in college now. He goes to UNC Charlotte. So
Okay.
he was able to help us out. He played a pretty big role in the film.
Right.
Noah Carey, he was on the poster. You might have seen it. I don't know.
I've seen that. I've seen it, and I'm going to try to make it for your premiere. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that. That is, well, by the time this airs, it'll be tomorrow night.
Yeah, okay.
And it's going to be at the Mill, I understand, right?
Yes, April 23rd. It'll be from 6:30 to 9:30. There'll be different sections. The 6:30 part is meet and greet,
Right.
and then the 7:30 there'll be you watch the film, and then from 8:30 till 9:30 that'll be
Q&A.
Yeah, Q&A
Sure.
session.
And understand there are special seats you can pay. I went online
Yeah.
to check this out. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it for the actual showing, but I did get the virtual showing package, so
Okay.
I'm waiting for that. And hopefully I can free up my calendar and plan to if I can. But you have premium seats, and then you have I don't know how many other seats are available, and I guess it's at the power plant.
Yeah, Powerhouse, yeah.
Powerhouse, that's
yeah,
right.
So there'll be there's a $10 package and the $15 package.
Right.
$15 package, you can get like an autographed poster and things like that.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, and maybe y'all can even extend that out even more.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So, what kind of careers? What do you want to do when you grow up?
Well, I've been thinking a lot lately.
Sure.
So, obviously, our filming company, Skyworks Media. So I've been thinking about maybe when I graduate college, I plan to go to NC first off to
Sure.
major in engineering.
Okay.
So what I plan to do probably after
Aggie
that.
pride, right?
Yes. So after that, I plan to maybe work on our company even more and branch out into different sections so we can have a filming portion of that company and then a robotics portion of that company.
Okay.
That's what I would like to do when I get out of college. Just work
Okay.
on that.
I would like to do animation. I like
Animation. Have you done any animation so far? You started to play with it a little bit?
Yeah, I'm starting to play with it a little bit. I use Blender
Okay.
for animation.
Okay, so I don't know anything about Blender, so you got to walk me through this.
And I like to do special effects as well.
Okay.
Fill them in what Blender is.
Yeah, tell me what Blender is. Walk me through that.
Blender is kind of a bit of everything. You can 2D animate, you can 3D animate, and you can do all sorts of things on Blender. That's what I know.
So are you drawing the images, or are these the things that you're creating on the screen? I mean, how do you?
I mostly do 3D, so I get shapes and things, and then I
Okay.
try to animate them throughout the.
Okay, I got you. And that's part of the special effects that are generally
Yes.
created.
Yeah, you can make a lot of different things in
And
Blender. Yeah.
and other programs that I use is Adobe. I use a lot of Adobe. I use After Effects and Premiere Pro to do.
That's actually what
cinemas.
we use to edit the film.
Okay, cool. So we'll get a real chance to sample that and check it out.
Yep.
That's exciting. Well, guys, man, I really appreciate you
Yeah,
coming.
thank
This
you.
has been fantastic.
Thank you
and
for having
I'm
us.
excited. I want a signed poster of this
Oh,
thing
we-
that I can hang up in
We'll
this
most
office.
definitely get that for
I'd be
you.
very proud of that. I want
Yes.
a picture with you guys too when
Nice.
you leave.
We'll definitely get that once we leave. Yes.
Man, thank y'all so much for coming.
Thank you for
This has
having
been an
us.
absolute
This
is-
joy.
for having us.
I'm proud of you. I mean, I'm not Ken, I know, but I'm proud of you being
I appreciate that.
one of the sons of Rocky Mount, and
Yes.
I hope that you guys have a great, bright future going forward.
Thank you.
I can
Thank you.
feel the energy, and I think you're both just outstanding young men.
Thank you. I
you.
appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
Really.
Did Dad tell you where the transport would take us?
No, it didn't. But I imagine somewhere in the Atlantic, Bermuda maybe? Somewhere where the virus had little to no impact.
Look, I want to know, film school. So your son said that you'd gone to film school. I never would have known that about you in 100 years. So where'd you go? Where did that
So-
interest come from? And then how did you transition into IT? You know?
So I started out, I went to North Carolina Central
Sure.
as undergraduate, and I minored in earth science.
All right.
But I minored in the programming side. And back in the early 90s, there were no GISs, there were no GPSs really.
I'm
for
old
the,
enough
not
to
for the
know.
commercial sector, right? And so I was focused on that computer side, writing code
Right.
and stuff like that. So that kind of got me into the computer side of things. Went to grad school at the University of South Carolina, and my thesis was on really a first GPS type of system, not based on satellites, but
Right.
based on just kind of a memory type algorithm. So that got me into computers, and that started me into that realm. But while I was at Central, I minored in film.
Okay.
So that's where I got my minor from the film. I really liked the camera. My father was a photographer.
Okay.
And so he kind of got me in that early on. And so I was able to do some things at Central when I was there, my 4 years there.
Yeah. So, it's kind of cool. And so now your sons, after the pandemic, have a little bit of time, and I appreciate, your parenting and saying, look, you got to get out and do something.
You have to.
And what a learning experience. I mean, you don't think of it in terms of traditional schooling, but to read, write, develop a play, a concept. I mean, you're using so many skills in that. And just to see that come home, it's cool. I just got to say, it's really neat. And
It's one of the things that, I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things that we don't teach our kids early on is project management.
that's right.
And and if you look at a lot of the things that we do in business is about project management. You start a project, you lay that roadmap out, you look at your resources, you
Right.
time it out, and that's what this really was, more so than anything else, an exercise in project management.
Okay.
Because if you can start a project and you can complete it, you can apply those same principles to anything.
Absolutely. And the more complex, then you can bring the deliverable back.
Yep.
I mean, that's really your marketability in the
Yep,
marketplace.
absolutely.
I mean, really it is.
Absolutely.
You nailed it.
Some of the highest paid people that we hire in IT are project managers.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh my God, I've been involved in I don't know how many IT projects. It seems like have an evergreen life. I mean, you can't bring them home. It's like,
Yep.
oh my God.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're right.
So, I mean, you had to enjoy a little bit on the sidelines. I'm sure you helped a little bit on this film, or the two films, really, as I'm learning.
Yeah.
So just tell me a little bit about that evolution from your perspective as you're watching it unfold. And I'm sure you're helping a little bit, maybe planting the seeds, and who doesn't like to play with cameras? It's
So
kinda cool.
the first film, the B1 Force B1, I guess you would call series,
Right.
was more me pushing them to do it.
Okay.
No, you guys aren't going to sit over the summertime and play
Right.
video games,
Right.
and we're going to go out and do something. We want to be creative. So like Thomas said earlier, but as that evolved, because both of them have black belts in martial arts,
Okay.
so this film was more of a kind of a sci-fi martial arts, robbing a little bit of Star Wars in the mix of that.
Sure.
And by the end of that film, I started to see the talent emerge, not only in acting, but wanting to direct. And as we started this next film, I do most of the technical work.
Sure.
I do most of the camera work and the special effects, but Thomas and Zachary are the chiefs to say, I want that shot.
Okay.
Can you make it do this? Can you make it do that?
Sure.
So it's good to see that evolution take place. So
Right.
now I'm kind of sitting second fiddle. And that's fine. And that's what you want out of your kids. I tell
Ultimately.
my boys all the time, when you grow up, I want you to be better than me.
Absolutely. That's all of our goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's evolved, and as I understand, you've won some awards.
Oh yeah, they were probably being quite modest. They won 2 or 3 awards for B1 The Awakening. I think they might have talked about it, and they won a couple awards for Force B1.
Sure.
And I think Zachary mentioned the Special Effects Award, and that was across all genres. We didn't even apply for that.
Oh, wow.
They applied for a student short film.
Okay.
And we didn't know that we won. We were at the Peak City Festival back in fall of 19. And they were disappointed that they didn't win. And then near the end, they said we have the best special effects across all genre is B1, The Awakening. And
All right.
they were so surprised. They did not know that was going to happen.
So as a pop, as a financier of
Oh,
the film,
wow,
as a film guy
We were
yourself,
totally shocked.
yeah, you got to be super excited and proud about that.
Totally
I mean,
shocked. Yeah, that was, and I don't know if you've seen that trailer. So Thomas didn't share this with you also. This film was, we looked at creating this film as fund injection for the B1 Awakening saga.
Right.
It's a much more complicated film logistically and financially.
Sure.
But the storyline is really awesome. So I didn't share with you. So the storyline is about a family or a group of people who have left if you know anything about Star Wars, they've left the galaxy
Yes.
eons ago.
Yes.
And they settled on a planet. And so their culture is totally different from the Star Wars culture. We don't mention lightsabers, all
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah,
Some of
yeah.
that's for copyright as well.
Yeah. Right.
But
Right.
but the storyline goes that this young person who Zachary plays, the principal, he has force powers and he doesn't know why. So the first film, he goes on this journey to discover himself.
Right.
The second part of that, he comes into his own. That's what we call it, the awakening. And what happens is his planet is the crystals.
Uh-huh.
Thomas has a story, but the crystals is the crystals are the core of their planet. They
Sure.
get discovered, and some outsiders are mining their crystals, which are key to their planet.
I got it.
He goes on a journey to try to stop that.
I got it.
I'm-
Well, that's a great story. I mean, it's a great storyline. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just to even come up with a story by itself, I mean, shows an imagination that I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Really. So, and let's talk about, the impact of broadband all over the state, allowing other kids to have an opportunity to be able to
Yeah.
exercise other creativity that
Absolutely.
might not otherwise be able to do so.
It's and I've been passionate about the broadband mission. I think a lot of our citizens don't really know that, and I'll share this with you. So that we have not only a divide here, but we have a techno chasm,
Yeah, we do.
right? And what's happening is, and I'll simplify it in this phrase here, or this couple of sentences. If you go back to 1950, and you were GE or some large company, General Motors had passed that, but you need about 150,000 employees to reach the $1 billion mark.
Right.
Today, you need less than 1,500.
Right. No.
And that's because of technology. So by allowing our citizens to gain access to broadband, real broadband, just not network connectivity,
Right.
you're evolving from the digital economy that started 25 years ago to the knowledge economy.
Right.
And that's where we want to go. We're creating, we're producing, and that's where the next step is. In North Carolina, we've got to be prepared for that. I mean, Great Britain, the UK, they're spending billions of dollars to get their citizens. They've been for years.
Sure.
We're behind on that,
Sure.
Mark. If you've been to Great Britain, you probably know.
I have.
They already have 30 to 95% of their citizens. They have 30, I think it's 30-10 already, and they're looking at gigabit in the next 5 years.
Sure.
And we're still talking hundreds of megabits.
I know. First time I ever saw anything like this, it was probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I was applying for a certificate of need to develop a hospice agency in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And so Pulaski, Tennessee happened to be the center of this particular geographic region. And I talked to the mayor down there, and nice fella, and his whole thing was broadband and Wi-Fi for the entire community. And I said, gosh, that's really fascinating and interesting, but why? He said, well, Tennessee has zero income tax, and we were right across the line from Huntsville, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
If I could pull some of these guys in the aerospace over to Pulaski, Tennessee, with no, because of all this, they can work from home. Just look at the impact that has
Oh, yeah,
on our
absolutely.
school system in terms of folks who get it, understand it, and the impact that'll have for everybody who
Yeah.
lives in our community today. Well, that got me thinking probably for the first time ever, how the cause and effect of such things really can work. So I am super excited to hear that we are doing a broadband plan all over the thing. And I just hope that we can.
I hope that we can, what I'm really hoping, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, that's fine.
I'm hoping that
I was done with that thought.
I'm hoping that we don't let politics get in the way.
Sure.
And that's what's been, I've been in IT space for 30 years.
Right.
And I was on the Rural Internet Access Authority Technical Committee back in 2000. We had these very same conversations. And yet here we are 21 years later, and we're still having these conversations, right? Most of our urban areas are doing well,
Sure.
right? But when you can go, my father-in-law lives on the outside of Red Oak,
Okay.
outside of Red Oak. And I still have trouble getting connectivity out there with my phone, right? And that's 15 minutes away.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's just.
So we're still having these conversations, and part of that is we want to make sure companies make a profit, but part of it also is we still have this political, and we have to get past that, and not only just in North Carolina, but I think just nationwide, because
I'm
we
gonna go
have
with
to be
amen.
connected.
Amen. Look, to get to the place that you politicize wearing a mask or not,
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells you that we've gotten to the nth degree of almost silly.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
absolutely. You're
I mean, I
right.
suspend my right every time I see a red light for 30 seconds for the welfare of everybody in that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
So why doesn't that apply to a mask? Why doesn't that apply
Absolutely.
to, acceptance of broadband? Why can't it accept? It's for the better good.
It's for the better good. And so you hit the nail on the head. And I think that will be the only thing that keeps us, because you can put enough money towards anything and make it happen if you really make it happen.
Sure.
And we can get every corner of North Carolina connected if we really want.
But you also need the adoption of it too.
Yep.
That's the other part. I mean,
Yep.
just because it's there doesn't mean I'm participating, which is a big part of the whole deal.
Yep.
Right?
It's adoption. It's we have I was talking with a colleague about 2 months ago. And we were having this conversation about kids. It's still the school divide.
Sure.
And if a young child is staying with his grandparents and their grandparents or great grandparents,
Sure.
they're not going to have trust of this new technology. So it's not only just the knowledge and adoption piece is part of the connectivity piece, and it's a whole package.
But
Yeah.
T4, I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
man. I have
It's been a
enjoyed it.
pleasure. I hope we can do this some other time in the
We're
future.
absolutely going to do it again as soon as we get a little bit closer on this broadband thing, because you know what, particularly local adoption, that's critical.
It is critical. It is, some of our communities, look at Canita, for example,
Sure.
which is right down the street. They are totally disconnected
Sure.
in many ways. And if we aren't getting out to these communities, we can't infuse
not
these
just
communities.
Canita.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a town where the median household income is less than $40,000, and the state is at 50 something. But one of the biggest issues that people can't get to
Affordability.
affordability. They can't get to work. They are a lot of times single moms. Transportation is an issue. Childcare is oftentimes an issue. Educational attainment is, of course, an issue too. But with the right educational attainment, with the right broadband, you've taken away a lot of those barriers.
Yeah, you have.
And just because I made some maybe less than solid choices early in life, and I'm living with them now, doesn't mean that I'm not super intelligent, not super
Absolutely.
incapable,
Absolutely.
but so it's about plugging those folks into the community, not just those folks, but that's a real way of leveling the playing field in terms of economic success.
It is.
I believe that's what I say.
You're right on the nail on that one, and that's one thing. And I can tell you that I haven't seen the final plan. I was part in creating at least some drafts of that plan.
Sure.
But there are going to be incentives in
Right.
this plan to help those. There are going to be a lot of monetary incentives to get people connected because they know the affordability piece, even in urban North Carolina,
Right.
is an issue.
Well, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw even in the pandemic. I mean, parents having to go to McDonald's and basically sit in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Let the kid do the homework.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this pandemic has created a lot of learning opportunities for us, and I think that the nation in North Carolina, we need to do the best we can to take those, learn from this,
Right.
and move forward because this is not going to be the last pandemic.
No.
Certainly won't.
Well, we're not even sure this was done yet.
Absolutely.
There seems to be a
Yeah.
small resurgence here. Right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Hi, this is Mayor Sandy Roberson. I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the Mayor's Brief. Tharrington's Auto Works and Collision Center, Rocky Mount Radiator, and Davenport Auto Park. I am grateful to each of them for their support of this program.